Welcome to the Casual Temple. This week we have the wonderful Emma Andrews joining us today. Emma is a gifted intuitive medium, renowned for her unique ability to connect with the unseen realm, offering insights and guidance to fellow seekers. Emma has also developed the intuitive method system to help others develop their own intuitive abilities. Emma, it's so great to have you on the Casual Temple.
Thank you, Marilee. I'm so happy to be here.
Yay. Yeah, I'm really excited to talk with you. We chatted a little bit before we got started, and you were on Shannon Torrance's podcast, Magic is Real, which is awesome, and everybody should check it out and check out your interview there as well. Um, but really, we just kind of get started from wherever you consider the beginning of your current path that you're on to being an intuitive.
Yeah, gosh, it's a tough question though because you can,
Hmm.
so far back
Oh,
or
yeah. We can
even
go as
more.
far back.
Yeah, we can we can go to many different places.
Yeah.
I think kind of where I like to start though
Yeah.
is more recent because I grew up a highly sensitive kiddo.
Hmm.
I was always like, I felt really connected to nature, and I always like had feelings about things or sensing things around me. Um, but I wasn't one of those kids that, talks to their dead people walking around or sees
Yeah.
them. So I like to start more recent because my gifts really opened up when I was 21.
Mm.
And I made the choice to develop them and to work with them and to grow them. And I worked really hard and I still work and practice every day to get better at them. But I like sharing that because I think a lot of people have this misconception of like intuitive abilities as something that you're born with and
Hmm.
you can't sort of deny that they're there.
Right.
And for most people, they have I mean, I believe everyone has intuitive gifts,
Hmm.
uh, but they get sort of clouded out as we grow up. And so I like
Yeah.
sharing this story to let other people know, I didn't think I was going to be a psychic. I didn't grow up, thinking, oh, I didn't know that this was a possibility. And so it was something that I've developed since reaching adulthood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's something I've shared on, well, through my podcast and other people's podcasts is similar, a similar story, but it was something where I had stuff happening when I was a kid, but I was like, this is scary, shut it down. Like, nope,
Yeah.
none of this.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, and then sort of like in more recent years, kind of over my journey, kind of, oh, there's something there that is wanting to connect. And I do think that every person can do it. It's just a matter of like how you do it. And I know we're going to probably chat about that and like the different abilities you can sort of develop on your own.
Yeah. Totally.
Um, but
Yeah.
so
So I was
yeah,
kind of the same as that because
yeah,
well, in retrospect now,
right.
we're
Yes.
a professional medium, I can see the times when I was really young,
Hmm.
I grew up Catholic and I would go to church twice a
Yeah,
week and I would talk to my relatives who had died during the service and I
right.
would have them talk back to me. And so for, for an hour, twice a week for most of my childhood, that's what I did. And now
Wow.
looking back, I see, wow, I was practicing. But before
Yeah.
I had this knowledge and awareness of these gifts in this way, I kind of thought it was my imagination. It felt
Hmm.
real, but it didn't feel like I could bring that out into um, the real world or I could outside of myself. It felt like a very
Yeah.
internal experience. But looking back, I can see, oh wow, I was practicing and
Hmm.
beautiful connections that I had with my loved ones and the conversations that I had and how real they were.
Hmm.
Um, yes, yeah,
Yeah, that's yeah, it's always interesting how you're like, wow, how things mirror each other, especially when you're a kid. And then you're like, oh, as an adult, you're like, oh, I was already kind of doing like in this example, you're like, I was already sort of doing it.
yeah,
You just probably didn't, you didn't have like the terminology or real broader understanding of what was going on.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's fascinating. Oh my gosh. So when you kind of did get started, so in your early 20s, did you have any support or guidance to kind of help you along?
Yeah, so the event that kind of opened up my intuition, I had been really sick all through college. So at the age of 18, I started getting really sick with mysterious symptoms. I eventually got like some autoimmune diagnoses. But that didn't help. Like I still
Hmm.
wasn't very good in my body. I had a lot
Yeah.
of pain and the doctors couldn't help me. And I was in another country away from my family at college. Um, so that was really the beginning of my healing journey because that was the challenge that brought me into my body, into my own
Mm.
emotions, to recognize that I had a body and I had emotions, and to begin to do that work to reconnect with myself. Because up until then, I lived very much for others. I
Mm.
was reading people, sensing other people, trying to make everyone okay, take care
Hmm.
of people. Um, and so on that journey, one of the things that helped me was meditating. And so whenever I was in a lot of pain, or well, just every day, I would meditate. And so one day when I was 21, I was meditating when this beautiful pink cloud came into my awareness. And I was like, ooh, it's so pretty. And
Hmm.
a message came with it that someone in my family was going to die. And I thought it was a really weird thought. And I was
Mm.
pushed it to, I watched it pass and I let it go. And it came back again even stronger. But what really made me sit up and say, this is different, is
Yeah.
the amount of love and like support. Like I felt
Mm.
like I was in like the most snuggliest hug you could imagine. And I hadn't really felt a love that big before. And so
Mm.
I sat up and I was like, this is so weird. I'm feeling so loved, but I'm also getting like information and a message that my brain it wouldn't associate with feeling loved and cozy and
Yeah.
comfy. The message I'm getting is a little strange, and random and weird. And a week later, my dad ended up having a heart attack and passing away.
Oh.
So that was the beginning of my journey of seeing, wow, there was something real here. There was something real that was communicated to me with all this love. And I got really afraid after that of
Mm.
meditating. I stopped meditating for a while because it did, like you were saying, when you were younger and it felt really big and scary. That's how it felt to me. It felt really big and scary. And I was like, no
Yeah.
more. And I sort of shut down from that. But it was about 9 months later after my dad had passed, after I had grieved and just taken the time to do what I needed to do and process that experience. That one morning I woke up and I was like, wow, that's not scary to me anymore.
Mm.
It doesn't feel scary at all. And I want to figure that out. I want to get back into that. There was something really special there for me.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's when the support and the help came in. And I started working with teachers and amazing psychics and mediums. I started like taking courses and just reading books and doing everything I could to understand the process that had happened in my system. And I really wanted to figure out how I could use this process to support me in my life, in my healing journey, and just in making this decisions in my day-to-day life. And then people started coming to me for sessions, which wasn't really expecting,
Hmm.
uh, referring people to me. And so I started doing it really for practice, just because I
Yeah.
wanted to, you know, get better at this skill. And yeah, now I'm full-time working with clients and I'm teaching people what all the things that I learned and I've learned so far on this journey.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's a lot to kind of go through for sure. Yeah. And that's and well, yeah, it's interesting that you felt like, oh man, this what the information you were getting was kind of big, and then you probably felt like, oh man, if I meditate again, and my it kind of like you're causing other people, right? You know what I mean? Feels like
Yeah,
you're the one that's causing bad things to happen to other people, not that you're
yeah,
just receiving information. So that's kind of a lot to process, especially so young, It's kind of big.
yeah. Yeah, but even just that one experience taught me so much about intuition and so
Mm,
many like uh the key flavors of intuition or the key
mhm.
signatures, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
intuitive information. Like I wasn't afraid or scared or sad when that information came through. So
Mm,
then in the
mhm.
months that followed, yeah, I had a lot of anxiety about meditating and I had a lot of anxiety about my own thoughts. Like I
Right.
would have of like my husband would go to work and I would imagine that he gets in a car crash and
Yeah.
I would, is it
Yes.
happening?
You're
Did it do
right.
it? Do it again. But then I would have to take a moment and say, no, like that doesn't feel the same as how that felt. Like
Hmm.
I'm afraid right now. I'm scared, I'm worried. So this isn't accurate intuitive information. Which was helpful. It was really helpful. And
Yeah.
that's one of the most important things for people to learn when they're developing their intuition
Hmm.
is that fear and intuition they don't coexist. They can't. They can't
Yeah.
exist together. And so learning to understand the different voices, I guess you could say, in your head or the different parts of you that are speaking at different times. Even giving them names, to know
Hmm.
like that's my fearful part, or oh, that's my, intuitive voice, and I know I can trust that when that turns on is really helpful because otherwise you could just feel really controlled by your own thoughts and controlled by your mind, which is not a nice place to be.
Yes. No. Yeah. Your mind likes to play little fun games with you so you can be entertained, I guess. Um, but yeah, that's interesting because I like that how you're sort of explaining that because for me, I've explained this actually to my sister recently. We were talking about, you know, something like that, like, oh, I imagine something bad happening to a family member or a friend or a loved one. And it is for me at least the way it feels in the body is like you're pushing out. When you're pushing that out, like you're like pushing the fear, pushing it's coming out of you instead of something coming to you and like you're receiving, like in a receptive mode. Then wait a minute, I'm the one who's like generating this. It's like coming from me. It's what I mean?
Ah, oh, I love that. What a beautiful way to explain it. Totally.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah, it's just, so then I'm like, hold on, and then I have to pause and be like, wait a minute. Like, I think this is just me being my brain wanting to like entertain me today.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what is, you have the method that you teach folks, the intuitive method. So can you kind of, well, I guess I have a few questions on this, but who would you say is a good candidate for the intuitive method? And then how do you, how do you work with them, I guess?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, I think a good candidate for the intuitive method is someone who's like really knows that they're on an awakening journey. Like things have started happening or changing in their life. Maybe they have, a lot of the time it's physical discomfort, right?
Mm,
Or
mm-hmm.
symptoms or illness in whatever way starts coming up to get us to like, wait a second, I'm alive. Sometimes it's that. So whatever it is, there's been some sort of shaking up in their life, and they
Yeah.
know that they're seeking something more, and they're wanting to heal. They're wanting to learn more about themselves. They're wanting to deepen their connection with spirit. Um, and yeah, someone who's just curious and open and wanting to learn more would be a great candidate.
Nice.
Yeah. What was the second part of the
Oh,
question?
yeah. Sorry. Two-part questions are always So kind of like, so when you, so the candidates, so how
Uh-huh.
do you start working, like, how do you start working with them with the intuitive method? Sort of like
Yeah. So,
highlights.
oh yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Um, so typically, so it's a 12-week program. Actually,
Hmm.
it's 13 weeks because we take a week off, and then the last one, we have a little gap between the weeks
Hmm.
at the but yeah, so it's a 12-week program. And we do live classes and there's homework and exercises that you work on every week and things to practice and and we have an hour and a half class once a week, and that's learning about a new topic and then practicing using your our intuition either together or individually with different exercises. So the program starts with the body
Hmm.
and the emotions and the mind. So just understanding how your body and deepening your connection to your physical body, your emotional body, and your mental thought patterns and learning how to befriend them in a deeper way.
Yeah.
That's where we start. And then we get into more specifics. So um, I teach you how to ask for intuitive information, the different ways that you can receive intuitive information, like directly, indirectly. Um, Mediumship, we talk about how to ask and how to receive information, like specific ways to ask, different like channeling tools and journeying tools that you can use, like structures that you can implement to like explore your inner world. And then it ends with me teaching you my technique for connecting with my intuition in a direct way
Hmm.
that builds on all the different components that we've learned through the week. And then it sort of ends with this like tool that you can use to like turn on your intuition, basically like an on switch, and use it whenever you want.
Oh, awesome. I love that you identified, I know there's a lot of different traditions have also identified this, but that there's like kind of different bodies, right? You have your emotional body, your mental body, and even where your like spiritual body. They have different names depending on which practice you follow. But what's interesting, I've been reading a lot because I'm Filipino. And so I've been reading a lot about sort of the indigenous practices of the Filipino people before pre-colonization. And a lot of the indigenous practices from the Philippines, but I think pretty much everywhere, Ireland, native, natives here in America, um, have that understanding of those bodies. So to me, it feels like these intuitive works, the things that you're doing is like kind of calling back to like what we were previously already doing, but forgot how to do. So I love that you're putting it together in such a structured way because I do think the Western, at least here in our Western world, we need that structure. That's how we've been taught how to absorb information. So I love that you have this like very condensed but very powerful like program for people to follow. And but it is harkening back to what we already naturally do. We just kind of forgot how to do it. So I think that's super cool.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. And I just have to say, like,
Mhm.
I didn't invent this information at all.
Yeah.
It has existed before, way
Yeah.
before me, and will exist way after me.
Hmm.
Um, I'm just teaching it in the way that I understand it. So
Right.
that connects with people. And I really wanted to make something that was really simple and clear, that took
Hmm.
all the things that I've learned. And in my course, like I have all my references, all the books I've read. So you can see, and if you're drawn to certain things, you can, you know, or ways of learning or topics, you can see where I got that information and go and explore it even deeper. Because we could
Hmm.
take like each week, we could spend a whole year.
Oh gosh. Yeah, for real.
So they're so rich. And
Yeah.
I'm still working on deepening my awareness of all
Yeah.
of these as well. And I hope to never stop because
Yes.
yeah, I love learning. too.
Hmm.
Exploring this information. It's so fun for me. It's so fun. So I created this course to just be really a simple, clear way. Really, I made what I needed when I was 18.
Mm.
Um, uh, in this beautiful, fun package with and the community is my favorite part of the whole experience is just the amazing people that are attracted to this work and that support one another
Yeah.
and cheer each other on. And um, it's one thing to do this work and to practice connecting with your intuition on your own, but when you do it with a group, it um, it is really powerful because you
Hmm.
get that validation and that feedback to grow your confidence. When you're working by yourself and on your own, it's like when you're a little kid and you have these intuitive senses and you're like, is this real? My imagination? Am I just playing? It kind of it kind of doesn't quite feel totally concrete,
Hmm.
but when you work with a group, when you're practicing and challenged a little bit to use this muscle, um, it's really a life-changing, and it's been really transformative for a lot of my students.
Yes. Oh man, so much there. So kind of like the last piece you said, I, in my sort of process too, I was able to work with a group of other people who are sensitives or intuitives or psychics. And exactly what you said, it's great having that feedback. It's so helpful. Um, and the other part is also for me, it was like observing how everybody else kind of gets information differently and how they're stronger in different areas. And it doesn't mean that anybody's worse or better. It just means that for whatever reason, like people just receive and get information differently. And like, especially what's fun is like the symbol, what is it, like the
Mhm.
symbol dictionary or however you want to call it, is like everybody's symbols are like very personal to them. And that's always fun to see. So,
Yes, yes, yeah. I have a workshop that I teach around the world called Discover Your Sensory Superpower. And this last year I was like teaching it in Ireland. I taught it in New York. I taught it um, all over the East Coast. And it's so fun. It's one of the funnest things that I do because we do an exercise to discover how your intuition speaks to you. Like, what is the language that it uses?
mhm.
Because it's often different than we think it would be. When
Yeah.
you hear about a psychic or an intuitive person, most people tend to think of like visions, like seeing auras or seeing angels with your real physical eyes.
Hmm.
Some people do that,
Yeah.
but most people actually. The most common way that I found in doing these workshops, running these workshops, is like hundreds of people. The most common one has been the felt sense. The
Yeah.
most common way that people receive intuitive information is a felt sense in the body. So, like feeling a tightening or relaxing of the muscles or heaviness, lightness, that kind of thing is
Hmm.
the most common one that I see. But our intuitive uh, muscle uses, just like we have five physical senses, we have five intuitive senses as well that
Mm.
meet five physical senses. So intuitive information can come through those five intuitive senses, right? So clairsentience, which is the one I was talking about, that's like the felt sense in the body. Claircognizance, clairaudience, um, clairvoyance, which is the seeing. Um, and yeah, the symbols are really fascinating. And I just started my own symbol dictionary. I don't
Yeah.
know if you know Tyler Henry,
Oh yeah, yeah.
that medium. He posted some pictures of his symbol dictionary that he's kept over the years and added to. And I just started mine, and it's so cool to see how much wisdom is in our system and in our
Yeah.
body. And that's why it is so personal, and it takes a lot of work and practice to get to know your intuition really well and to be able to interpret it really well
Hmm.
because your intuition will use the information that's available to you. So if you like want to get into tarot, let's say, or get
Yeah.
into something that is like has like symbology within it or astrology or something, if you learn that information, then your intuition can use it to
Mm-hmm.
convey more to you. Um, and typically also the symbols that will come through and the information that will come through will be connected to things that you care about or are interesting and exciting to you. Um, so like I really like I'm not so good with names. Like in life, I'm not so good with
Right.
names.
Yeah.
I'm really good with faces. So when I do mediumship, like names are still something that I'm really working to get
Mm-hmm.
at, but it doesn't come as naturally to me because it's not something I even care about in physical life. Like I think people could have many different names.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'll see someone and I'm like, oh, she's Rachel. She could also be Sarah or Jennifer. Like it, but faces and clothing and hair
Mm.
are things that I really connect with.
Yeah.
Um, I have a lot of Libra in my chart. So,
Yep. That makes sense. Yeah.
um, so when I'm doing mediumship readings, like I often will see how someone dressed, how their hair was, how they fit their physical appearance, how that looked, even how their voice sound. Like all those things will come a lot easier to me than a name, and that's correlated to, to what I care about in my physical day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, yeah, you explained that so well. Oh man. I like that you also brought up about names because I know names is like um a very unique one for mediums to kind of be able to snap. And it's always like, whoa, you got the name, you know.
Yeah.
But when you explain, like, I kind of remember more like their face and their hair, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm more like I like can remember,
Yeah,
more of their
yeah.
physical traits.
And I like I have so much respect for mediums who can do that and
Hmm.
I like love it so much. But also I don't have like pressure on myself that
Oh
I need
yeah.
to do all that because it's like you were saying like we all have different ways of receiving this information and
Hmm.
the more we can embrace our way,
Yeah.
the more open that channel will become and
Hmm.
the more accurate intuitive information we'll be able to just bring and flow into our life.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So much of that. And definitely when you mentioned like sort of the tarot too, I spent a lot of time like learning the tarot. And yeah, when I would start doing readings or healings on people, the tarot cards would start popping up for them.
Ah!
Like, I'm like, I'm seeing the blah blah tarot and your whatever chakra, that kind of thing.
Oh, that's hilarious that just
Yeah.
what popped into my head. See?
Yeah. Yeah. And then another thing too is like I love music and I get song lyrics quite a lot. I get like little snippets of song lyrics I'll hear and I'm like, I'm just gonna tell you this song. I don't know what it means or whatever, but I know what it means to me, and what it probably means for the person. But yeah, that's so fascinating.
Totally. That's another great example. Music
Yeah.
is
Oh,
that.
music's so good.
And sometimes when I do the Discover Your Sensory Superpower workshop, sometimes people will hear music.
Mm,
What we discover, and if we have time at the end, we could do a little exercise maybe.
sure.
But I have people feel into their yes and no. Uh,
Mm,
and so that is where people will get that information on how their intuition is communicating to them. And sometimes people will have music or music lyrics for a yes and or a no, which is cool.
how fun. I love it. Um, So you did mention sort of a little bit of like how you got started with the system, but what made you go, I need to create the system? Like what was the thing that really made you want to do that?
That's a great question. I think I felt really alone at
Mm,
the beginning of my journey. I came from a fairly conservative background and community. So the work that I do, it wasn't modeled to me, and
mm,
when my it wasn't something that I was ever around or knew anything about. Um, and then I was pretty sick through college. I had some awesome friends, but like when my gifts started opening up, they didn't, they couldn't relate.
Right.
So I felt pretty alone in exploring it
Hmm.
and figuring it out. And so once I started to get my feet under me, like once I had some community that had built up of friends, who understood what I was going through and were exploring the same thing for themselves, then I started to feel like, okay, I I need to get this out there for the other people that are feeling alone in this.
Hmm.
And yeah, I became it just like it felt like a really I felt really strongly motivated to create it and to put it all together. And the first class I taught, I guess it was 2019. Um, and the first time we all met, we all got together, I was like, wow, people really need this.
Yeah.
And and it really makes a difference for them to have this opportunity in this community.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, and I recently just started a free intuition practice group that
Ooh.
we do monthly, because I want people to be able to access this support and structure to pursue, you know, and discover more about their intuition, regardless of where they are or
Hmm.
they're able to afford a course.
Yeah.
Um, so I do that on the third Sunday of every month. If anyone is curious and um, wants to explore their
Oh, cool.
intuition with the community.
Oh, that's so cool that you offer that. Yeah. Yes. And everything you said is so spot on. And I'm glad that you realize, like, oh, it is definitely about the tools, but it's also about creating that community for people and that place so you don't feel so alone, especially. Yeah, it's super isolating for sure when you're like, oh God, what's going on? Um, and you do talk to maybe your loved ones or your friends in your life, and they're not having the same experience, which is fine. It's just, yeah, you just feel like, oh man, what's going on with me?
Yeah. And it can be really lonely too because
Hmm.
you change
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people that I was friends with, I'm not friends with anymore.
Hmm.
A lot of the things I cared about or thought were important in my life aren't.
Yeah.
Uh, and I have new interests and I really have changed. And I think that that was one of the scariest parts when my intuition first opened up, when I first had that moment of like, oh shit, this is real.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
deny it. Was because I felt this like my life is never going to be the same.
Mm.
This moment of like, wow, everything from now on will be different.
Yeah.
And and that's a scary thing and it's
Hmm.
scary, especially when it means we lose relationships or have to let go of things.
Yeah. That's what, yeah, for sure. Um, but it's good that, or not good, but it is good that you went through it, and so you can kind of help people walk through that. That could be, something that they might have to go through as well, and it's a rough situation. But ultimately, it's you get closer to who you are, and so that's always a positive.
Yeah. And
Um,
you attract people and you meet people who
yes.
love the person you're becoming and care about that. And
Hmm.
that's one of the things I'm excited about this community that we're building this monthly group and with the intuitive method too, like you get lifelong friends through the
Yeah.
program, through the community that you
Hmm.
can, connect with beyond our meetings and have that support and
Yeah.
people who
That's
understand.
so, yes, people who understand. Yeah, that's so invaluable for sure. Oh my. Um, so what would you, we kind of sort of touched on it a little in here a little bit, but what would you say is your higher self? That's such a big question. But what is your perspective on what that is?
So, when I do my intuitive sessions, I am communicating with my client's higher self, and also their guides. And the higher self is, to me, from the way my guides have explained it to me is it's the part of you that's still connected to spirit. Um, so when we come to Earth, we don't bring 100% of our soul energy. We bring a percentage of it into our
Hmm.
body. There's still a part of it connected to source. So our higher self is, gosh, it's such an essential pa- part of us. Well, it is the essential part of us. And when we connect with it, it's almost like our work on earth is to connect as much as we can with our higher self and vibrate as close to that frequency of our higher self as possible.
Hmm.
And our higher selves are totally unique and gorgeous, like prisms of light. And every soul is so different, and beautiful and special in its own way. And so the more that you really, it's the more unique you become,
Yeah. Yeah.
the more you embrace like your desires and your things that you love and follow your heart and the passions that come up for you, the closer that you get to connecting and embodying the frequency of your higher self.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think I've had moments where I've definitely connected with it, and I always like when I've explained it to people, I'm like, it's me, but without all the BS, right? It's me without all the anxiety or the fear. But it's me. Um, it still has a sense of humor, which I'm happy about. When people are sad.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it's just like I'm not worried about how I look that day, or I'm not worried about, the bill I have to pay tomorrow. It's all of that is not there. It's
yeah.
just, yeah, the essential who you are or whatever. So I love how you explain that it's all connected to source or spirit, and yeah, love that.
Yeah, and it's who we are, and we have
Yeah.
access to our higher self all the time because it's us, it's our,
Hmm.
essential nature.
Yeah.
So it can never leave you. You can never get rid of it,
Hmm.
never lose it. It can never abandon you. It's always, always, always there,
Yeah.
um, to guide you and to support you and to love you.
Yeah. And is that why you try to teach your clients to connect with the higher self, is because of that sort of essential part of them?
Yeah, because the our higher self contains all the wisdom that we need in this lifetime. So um, my what I really care about is empowering my clients and students to make their own decisions and trust themselves more and to embrace the things that they want to experience in their life, to heal, to grow. I want to empower my clients and students to be able to do that on their own, to not need to get that information from outside of them, from their parents, or even from me.
Yeah.
My sessions, I channel intuitive information. But my goal is that they don't need me or want me
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah.
I want them to be able to access it themselves. So their connection with their higher self has all the wisdom they need, like the answer to all of the questions that they might have, or the challenges that they're going through, or the things that are the snags that they might be hitting in their life that they feel that they need support on. Like if they can connect more with their higher self, then those snags don't last as long or don't feel as painful because they're bringing
Hmm.
a higher perspective and they're able to access the answers and the solutions and the actions that will support them in the best way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so great. And I like that you mentioned, like, yeah, I don't want them to need me. That's that kind of thing. Because I think that is like a big goal, um, is to get folks to have that their own connection with that higher self or spirit or whomever, their guides. Um, and I think, oh, gosh, I just lost my train of thought on that. But yeah, I think that's a great service to provide for people. Um, can you walk us through? So you do different sessions with clients directly. Can you walk us through like a session with a client? I know you do different things, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So the three offerings that I have are intuitive sessions, mediumship sessions, and somatic therapy.
Mhm.
Uh, the somatic therapy I just recently started offering in person. And that has been really cool because in the last year and a half in my intuitive sessions with clients, I had been my guides have been instructing me to do certain things with my clients to connect with their energy, to experience their emotions and move their emotions and process and heal trauma and
Hmm.
all these things. My guides were supporting me and bringing and giving me this information to give to my clients.
Yeah.
And then I learned it was a thing.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And so the last year and a half, I've been doing different trainings and learning about it like mentally, like learning the science behind it and the neuroscience and about the vagus system and all of that good stuff and trauma theories and things like that. So I now offer that in person,
Hmm.
and it's like touch based um, somatic experiencing, basically, but with me connecting with my intuition to support them and being with their body and whatever's happening. Because
Hmm.
the really cool thing is like, and this connects totally to empowering my clients and students to connect with their own intuition. Um, our intuition speaks through our body.
Hmm.
The more connect, our body is like the antenna
Yep.
um,
Yeah.
that that receives intuitive information. And so many people, I mean, I didn't know I really had a body. I didn't know what it was like to be in my body
Right.
until
Yes.
recently. So yeah, now I have this awesome offering of supporting people in experiencing being in their body and
Yes.
healing that can come from that. In my mediumship sessions, I communicate with people who've died.
Hmm.
Um, so that's pretty self-explanatory.
Right. Yes.
And then in my intuitive sessions, they're like energy readings is typically how we'll start them. So I
Hmm.
connect with their higher self and their team of guides. And I typically start out by drawing their energy out. So I'll see how the energy is moving in their energy body, and I'll draw it on a piece of paper and make notes about different things that are coming up. And then we'll just start working together and I just start channeling this information connected to them and their life. And I really, that those sessions, I really like to focus on like really practical information.
Hmm.
Uh, and tools and perspectives that can make the biggest shifts in their life and help them the most through what they're going through right then at that moment.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, those are really good core offerings. I'm glad that you have like a somatic one. That was something I've also recently been aware of through some other folks that I'm connected with are practicing that. Yeah, and it is about like the body is so important. And what's funny is when I've done sort of readings on people a few times, I have literally seen where it's like, here's their actual body, like I'm with the person, but I can see like they're literally like perpendicular, like they're attached at the head, but like their actual spirit is like hanging out. It's really weird. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you're really not in the body. Like you are just hanging out over here.
Yes, it's
Fascinating.
very common. It's very
Yes. Hmm.
and often that will happen if we're experiencing like physical or emotional pain.
Yeah.
We don't have the tools or the support to be with and
Hmm.
uh, acknowledge that pain that we're in.
Yeah.
Uh, then you can't like it's hard to just pop that back,
Yeah.
you can't pop it
I
back
don't want
in
to
and
go in there. Yeah.
take you by, like
Yeah.
enjoy being in pain.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm really excited to have this offering because I was just seeing clients and clients like over and over, like you were saying, who
Hmm.
um they just needed like really physical touch and I had learned to do that um for myself, I had to learn to do it to survive. And so I'm really excited to be able to share that with them and also to like encourage that relationship with their self and with their bodies
Mhm.
to grow.
Oh, yeah, I love it. Such good core offerings for people that you have outlines. It's really cool. So you did want to walk through, because my next question was like, do you have tips for when folks are feeling stuck or having a bad day? But you said that you had an exercise, which probably helps with that. I didn't know if you wanted to go through that or,
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking about what I would do if was having
oh,
a bad.
okay, we can do that question. And then do the yes, no exercise.
Well, I think it's just a really good question because like I've been
Hmm.
having some bad days lately. I don't know about you. I don't know
Hmm.
about amazing listeners, but
Yeah.
been having some bad days and I think what goes such a long way, and that's been what's been going such a long way for me in navigating these bad days that have come up is like accepting them and just being like the most loving of myself that I can possibly muster. Because I think in the past, and still I have this, pattern within me of like when I'm having a bad day to beat myself up for having a bad day.
Oh, right.
Be
Yeah.
hard on myself, like, why aren't you doing enough? Or why are you sad? Or why? Um, and I think that's really common and it just
Hmm.
makes everything worse. It's just throwing poop at a fan.
Yes,
And
exactly.
um and lately in the last few days I've had some tough days and
Hmm.
with the support of my husband because he's just like adorable and like loves on me so hardcore. It's amazing. Um with his support and being able to kind of do it better myself, like
Yeah.
meeting those experiences with so much love has made them actually transform
Mhm.
and whatever process I was in. Because a lot of times when we're having bad days, we're just in process. We're processing things that have happened.
Hmm.
We're going through some growth.
Yeah.
Uh, if we're conscious enough, if we're not super conscious, then we can get kind of stuck in bad days, and we can talk. That's kind of a separate. But if we're conscious and if we're open and we're um, aware to a certain extent, then often bad days are like, when things are moving and transforming and changing, and it's like a little uncomfortable because we're growing or tough things are happening, but it's not, it's for our growth and teaching us lessons that we need to learn.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've just been like this whole week I've just been like, I love you so much.
Right. Yes.
Stop. Like, it's okay that it's a bad day. I'm taking care of you. Things are gonna work out.
Hmm.
Just loving on myself like that. So that's what I would recommend for when you're having a bad day. And don't try to use your intuition when you're having a bad
Oh
day.
yeah. Yeah, that's a good advice.
Have a rest, watch a show, make yourself something special, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And your intuition will come back when the clouds part.
Yes. Oh, beautifully said. Yeah. I definitely take it as like, oh, it's time for that self-care day, right? Like I really need to like take care of myself, for sure. Because unfortunately, I don't think those bad days are going to go away. Like we're human beings, they're going to come, but so it's good to have different tools of sort of navigating that.
Yeah. Me and my husband, we just we're really busy right now. We both have a lot going on. And
Yeah.
so we would end every day we would end and be like, oh, it was such a big day. Like such a, kind of like it's a bad thing. Like, oh, like every day of the week, we're like, oh, it was another big day.
Right.
And we just started changing how we talk about it. So now we say,
Mm.
oh, it's a really full day.
Mm.
And that change has helped a lot, just even in the wording and how we
Yeah.
understand it. And like even just bad days, having a different phrase like, oh, it's a learning day or oh, it's a self-care day. Uh,
Yeah.
make a big difference too. Because you're right, like we're human. Things like things aren't perfect
Yeah.
on Earth, and they're not meant to be. We're
Hmm.
not meant to be comfortable and happy and all the time. We're
Right.
meant to experience all of the emotions. There's gonna be challenges,
Yeah.
but how we meet them is what really makes the difference.
Hmm. Yes. Oh, wonderfully said. So I guess now if you wanted to go do the yes no exercise, I think you
Sure.
mentioned,
Sure.
happy to do that.
Yeah,
See what
yeah.
that
It's
looks like.
fun for people because then they can do this at home. You can do this at home. If you're driving, pause this podcast
Right. Right.
and you can do this when you get home, or you can pull over and do the exercise where you're going. So, yep. So this exercise, we're just going to do a quick meditation.
Hmm.
And in meditation, I'm just going to guide you to experience your yes and your intuitive yes and your intuitive no. So I would like you to have in front of you a piece of paper and something to write with, if possible. It could also, well, I don't like it being electronic. I'm gonna say it can also be your phone, but no. Uh, let's have it be a piece of paper and a pen. Um, Okay, so get yourself comfortable wherever you're sitting or laying down somewhere. Just find a space where you can sort of drop into your body, arrive, do whatever little movements you need to do to get comfortable. And just take a moment to just notice what's here. Notice where your attention is in your body. If there's any places of tightness or tingling, just noticing, saying hello to your beautiful body. So we're now going to do this is what I do to turn my intuition on. I have this little visualization. And you can either use water or something else. Some people don't love the water. Some people love it. So if you love water, you can use water. But I want you to imagine in front of you something to jump into. It could be the ocean, it could be a pool, it could be a pile of leaves, or it could be off a cliff with a parachute. Or maybe you can fly and you don't even need the parachute. Whatever it is, just imagine a big, beautiful abyss. It could be jumping into a field of flowers or um, a big, comfy pile of duvets or warm laundry, something in front of you. Uh, Imagine and visualize that for a moment. You might see it, you might just sense it, you might hear it. And I'm just going to count down from three. So three, relaxing your muscles even more, connecting in with this beautiful space. Two, noticing the details of this experience. What do you smell? What do you see? And one, preparing yourself and jumping, diving, backflipping into this beautiful, warm pile of laundry or ocean or off a cliff into the clouds flying around. Gorgeous. Good job, everyone. Beautiful. So now our bodies are relaxed. Our minds are relaxed. We're feeling connected. Um, I'm going to now ask your intuition to communicate to you your intuitive yes. Please express to me my intuitive yes. And I just want you to notice, rest and notice what arises. It might be really subtle. That's okay. Just notice it. Take note. Now, please express to me my intuitive no. What does a no sound like, taste like, smell like, feel like, look like? Just noticing what you sense. Now we're going to go back to the yes. Please express to me my intuitive yes. Good work. And then please express to me once again my intuitive no. Amazing. Now, when you are ready, you can open your eyes, and I want you to right away go to that pen and paper and make a note, even if it's super subtle or it just felt like a whisper of something. Just make a note of the things that you noticed. And then that will give you really important information about, first of all, how you receive information from the world around you. And second of all, how your intuition will most likely communicate to you.
Mhm.
So, for example, if you a really common one is people will like uh, they'll see a sun for yes, and then like gray blackness for no. That's like a really common one. So if you saw something like that, if it was visual, this will tell you that you receive information around in your day-to-day life in a visual way. So you can work on developing your intuition by surrounding yourself with very pleasing, enjoyable visual experiences. So you really want to take care to make sure you have beautiful things in your house around you, that you have colors around you that you love, and really take care to because that will support you in being able to stay present and raise your vibration throughout the day. If you heard something, it would be different. If you heard different noises, that would tell you that music or sound is really essential to how you live. So you can cultivate your life around that, and that will also support you in being more open to that intuitive information when it comes through.
Ooh, so good. That's so well, I don't want to say it's simple, but it is like simple. It was very cool. I do want to share what my mind felt like because I thought it was pretty fun. And any listeners, if you want to share, I'm happy to listen if you want to share. what it felt like for you. But so for the yes, I kind of got like several different things at the same time, but it felt like initially I was like, oh, it feels kind of like pop rocks, you know, pop rocks are like champagne bubbles. And that's what it felt like in my heart chakra. So it was like that for
I bet.
yes. Yes. And so I even felt like, it was like I felt it, and then I saw like pink and gold colors, and then it like kind of heard like the pop pop, like da, 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 like very exciting. And it felt also like a giggle, like when I giggle, it's like that. So that was really interesting. And then the no was like as if something like put a lid on it, like a lid, and it like pushed down into my root chakra, and it was like no, and then it was very black or brown colors, and it even had a sound to it, which was like thunk, like thunk. So that was really fun.
Oh,
Yay!
I love the feeling of that, like the bubbly, like
Yeah.
effervescent, and even thinking about like fermenting food,
Yes.
how they're
Like
alive. It's
yeah.
like that, like sourdough starter, like it's bubbly
Yes.
alive, and um, like what a perfect yes that is, you
Yeah.
know, full body yes.
Yeah. Like, yeah, yeah, like of course. But it was pretty subtle. It wasn't like bam or anything, but it is very subtle. So like you said, it's like sometimes it might be a little quieter.
Yeah. And that's why it's really important to just write it down right away.
Yes. Yeah.
Mind turn on and be like, oh, you were just imagining it, or it can
Mm-hmm.
so easily like rationalize it away or
Yes. Yeah.
ignore it. But the work of becoming more intuitive is the work of really making the subtle less subtle.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah, so taking note and writing things down is a really important to that process of believing yourself and allowing that subtlety to have meaning and significance in your life.
Mhm. Oh, so very cool. Oh, so good. Thanks, Emma. Okay, so we're kind of wrapping it up here. It's been wonderful chatting with you. But do you have any projects or events coming up that you want folks to know about?
Yeah, so do you know when this podcast
Oh,
will?
um, let me check. Give me a moment. Gotta check my spreadsheet. That's how I operate. Oh, let's see here. Okay. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Oh, yes. It will be on January 29th.
January 29th. Okay, so my
Yes.
course will already have started, so
Oh, okay.
I won't promote that.
Okay.
But well, let me grab my, I
Yeah.
just want to get the date right if it's coming out. uh, for my next intuition circle. That will be February 16th.
Oh,
Okay.
fun. Yay.
So yes, I have my free monthly intuition circle that is every third Sunday. So from when this is coming out, I think the next one will be February 16th. That people can join. That's at 7 p.m. EST. And you can just send me an email with the word circle, and I will get you on the list to get the Zoom link and to be a part of that group. And also, if anyone wants to work with me one-on-one, I do virtual sessions on Zoom or over the phone. I'm also in person in Charlottesville, Virginia, but I do most of my sessions still virtually. So you can learn more on my website of how to work with me.
Yay. Awesome. Well, thanks, Emma. Yeah, I'll definitely have all your links in the show notes so people can find you
And
and
if people
connect.
are interested in learning about intuition with me more, the Intuitive Method 2026 will be starting next January, but
Ooh.
I have a wait list, email
Oh,
list that
well,
people can write me and get on that for that.
well, gosh, guys, that's a whole year away. You're gonna be on the wait list for that. So, act on it now.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Get
that's
on
so
board.
cool.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. Thank you, everyone,
Yes.
for listening.
Yes, thank you. And so kind of sort of the final thing, you've shared so much wisdom with us already. But do you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to leave us with?
Um, I just want to say to anyone that's listening, you're doing a great job. I love you because you were attracted to Marilee and her beautiful podcasts. Like, I know that you are intuitive, that you have intuitive gifts, that are very real. So, just keep loving yourself and letting in more love than you, um, think you deserve because it's more. It's always
Yes.
more. And I'm here if you ever need anything or want some support.
Wonderful. That's lovely. Well, thank you, Emma. I'm so glad we got connected and it's been wonderful chatting with you. Thank you so much.
You have a great day.
Your support means the world to us. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please take a moment to like, comment, and share it with others who might find this content valuable. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more enlightening discussions. Your engagement helps us grow, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for being a part of the Casual Temple community.